Khristina from Read and Creative, and I am super excited to be sharing my layout for the telephone game. And so there are a bunch of members of the Secret Not Secret Kit Club, and basically we have all been playing the telephone game. So what that means is one person started a layout and shared their layout with the next person in line, and only their layout, so they didn't see the first one. So then they created a layout based on that one and passed only their layout to the next person in line, and so on until we get to the end, and we can look at how much our layout has transformed from the beginning to the end of the telephone game. And so the layout that I just showed you right there in that sketch is from Desiree, and she passed her layout on to me. So this is the only one in the chain that I have seen. And so it has tons and tons of strips of pattern paper behind the photo, and then one little embellishment cluster kind of off to the top left, and then one off of the left bottom edge of the photo. And mainly it is paper layers. So in contrast to hers, I went ahead and took a black piece of cardstock and mounted my background pattern paper on top of that. And I am primarily playing with Vicki Boutin's Color Kaleidoscope collection. I have thrown in a couple of papers from other places, but like the number one, that one's from Heidi Swap. And so is that really bright pink little strip. But otherwise, I believe the rest of these pattern papers are all from Color Kaleidoscope from Vicki Boutin. And so some of them are from the 12 by 12, some of them are from the 6 by 6, and I'm just layering them all up together behind my photo. And I want all those different layers to kind of be different sizes, different lengths. I want it to kind of look a little bit messy, like it's just strips of paper that got laid down on this background. And I have basically an orangish yellow photo. And so this is a beach layout, or a beach photo, I should say, of my daughter in California. We were at the beach. And she was really taken with the sunset. And so she was taking pictures and she was playing in the water, like the edge of the ocean, that kind of thing. And so I really like the contrast between the really bright yellowish orange and that dark green background. And then I'm adding in a bunch of pops of color. Because my photo doesn't have a whole ton of colors, that gives me kind of an opportunity to play with a lot of colors in my background, which is super fun. And so I'm adding in a bunch of washi tape to my layers. So I have some black and white, like little plus signs. I have some kind of clear grid with a black, like almost like graph paper that's a little bit wider. I've added in some little like mint green tickets to a couple spots. So I'm really just kind of playing with lots of color because my picture allows me to do that because I don't have a ton of different colors in it. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my photo on some fun foam to kind of raise it up off the page. And then I want to play around with these clouds. And these are from Pink Fresh Studio. And this is part of the travel collection. But I really think that these clouds are just kind of cool with this particular picture. And they kind of tie all my colors together and work really well with my background. So some of those are going to get some dimensional adhesive, but then that big bluish one that's behind my photo is going to be flat on the page. And it just kind of is a little cluster up there to make it look like it's going off the page. Because they are clouds, I'm going to keep that detail really just at the top of my layout. So I'm not going to carry that down to the bottom. I grabbed a couple of little frames here that I wanted to play around with including. And these are also from that travel collection from Pretty Little Studio, just like the clouds were. And so I'm playing around with some of those because I want to create kind of an element down here for my title. So it's the same area that Desiree has her title, but I am kind of playing with something a little bit different. So I want to include some embellishing and some different layers and things. So I'm just kind of layering up a few different frames. I added one to that cluster up at the top, and then I have 3 around that corner of my photo. And so I'm going to start kind of building my little embellishment areas. And so one major area is going to be up where those 3 clouds are in the top left. And then I have one in the bottom right where I've clustered these 3 frames, and that's going to be a major embellishment area. And then I have that same one up on the top kind of right-hand corner where Desiree had one in hers. I wanted to play with this Live Big title because it has lots of bright, fun colors, and it's got the orange at the very beginning of that live. And so I went ahead and pulled the insert for this frame. So you get like the inside and the outside of the frame. And I put the inside back into the frame if that makes any sense, because I wanted to use this Live Big title, but the big was getting lost on the green background. So I just went ahead and put that insert back into the frame, and it gave me a nice kind of landing place for that title to really pop and stand up off the page. I did add some little chipboard cameras, and I've got a couple little puffy sticker hearts there that match with that kind of same idea as my title. And then I wanted to play around with this stamp set. This is from Everyday Explorers, and there's a little stamp in there that just says tourist mode. And so I want to include that in that little cluster that I have going in the top right corner. And so you'll see me kind of playing with, how do I want this to look? I know that I need some extra embellishing and things in that little cluster up there because it just doesn't really feel done. Do you ever have a spot like that in your layout where you're like, it looks fine, but it doesn't feel done to me? And so that's kind of what this little cluster was doing. So I went ahead and stamped that little tourist mode and fussy cut around it, and that's going to get added to that little cluster up there. And I'm still kind of feeling that same way. Like there's something up there that's going to need to be added, but I don't know what. I did have on this stamp set, and this is a stamp set that's like amusement park themed, but it has this really great stamp that says Young at Heart. And I wanted to include that on this layout because I just think her kind of playing in the waves and the edge of the ocean, it goes so well with that particular quote. And so I stamped right on top of my photo in that top left corner and kind of nestled it in with all of my embellishments. I am adding just a few little bottle cap sequins, and these are from Buddhist Monroe, and they're in the kind of bright orangey color, so they really mimic what's going on in my photo. So I am adding some of those to each one of my clusters. And there's still something that's bothering me about that one on the top right. And I couldn't figure out what it was. There was too much space and it needed a little bit more embellishment. And so I went ahead and added a tiny little cloud up there after I stopped finishing. And that, after I stopped filming, and that finished it off for me. So I hope you enjoyed seeing what I did. Make sure you come back tomorrow to see the next person in the telephone game and their take on my layout. And I'll see you soon. Bye.